She shows up at high-end galas in an expensive gown. And the second she steps in, every man in the room looks her way. But at night she goes back to a rundown shoebox apartment and drops the act, putting on cheap pajamas. When her mother accidentally spills water on her bag, she actually curses her mother out, because the whole family is counting on her to marry into money, so they can escape poverty and finally live above everyone else. Luckily Annie really does meet a handsome rich heir, and he falls for Annie at first sight. As soon as she gets home, Annie cannot wait to call him, but to her shock he hangs up on her immediately. Annie would never dream that this man is just as poor as she is, trying to climb his way into high society. Parker's daily job is keeping rich older women happy, and every so often he even does house calls for extra tips, because he is fit and good looking. The tips keep getting bigger and bigger, but the truth is Parker is trapped in it. His father is drunk all day long, and does nothing but gamble, running up massive debts. Parker's dream is to marry a rich girl and become the stay-at-home husband, so he can take his mother and finally get away from that awful father. Annie and Parker are basically the same. She also has a deadbeat gambling father. When Annie was little she saw her father get beaten half to death over debt. That was the first time she felt the fear that comes from having no money. Later in middle school she was mocked by the whole class because her mom dressed so plainly. Poverty made Annie feel inferior deep in her bones. She could not understand why her mother would not dress up before coming to school. The embarrassment on her mother's face was impossible to hide, and it made Annie realize from a young age how much money matters. The next day she puts on a rented designer outfit, ready with her aunt's help to go after a rich heir. Her aunt is sharp and she spreads the word that at the party, two young rich men were pursuing Annie, using that to raise Annie's value. Sure enough, the gossip explodes everywhere, and Annie quickly becomes the mysterious rich girl everyone is talking about, with her aunt pulling strings behind the scenes. The mother of the mama's boy who sells high-end women's shoes finally agrees to let her son date Annie, but when Annie warmly says hello, the woman immediately tries to put her in her place, quizzing Annie on business knowledge, and asking what position Annie holds in her family's company. Annie panics on the spot. Her rich girl persona is about to fall apart. Annie forces herself to stay calm and says she is the face of the company, but the mother thinks Annie is an ignorant, spoiled brat, and sneers that Annie must be all looks and no brains and only knows how to spend money. She will never let her son marry a wife who only knows how to burn through cash. After lunch the woman says Annie's shoes are expensive but do not suit her, doing everything she can to say you are not good enough for my son. But Annie says that night at the party, your son was chasing me like he was desperate. He even knelt down to put those blister pads on my feet. Those words nearly make the mother explode. When the mama's boy comes over, Annie deliberately asks to exchange contact info with him. Seeing the excited look on her son's face, the mother almost loses it.